It's fine. Peace, sovereigns, greetings. Welcome to our Tuesday Midday Motivation. Thank you for being here, being in this space. We are going to jump right in. Today, I wanted to cover the blood trail. As you know, it is June, and we are just covering all food alternatives. That's to support you. So if you're coming in and you're joining us, welcome. If you are joining us after the live has ended, please, if you have questions, comments, anything that you want to add, this is a learning space. I am learning. You all are learning from me. I love to share what I know. But if you are coming in and you have anything to share and to add, please engage in the comments below. It's always helpful in the comments below after the video. So, the blood trail. The trail is actually um, the blood testing, right? And I know you all have probably heard me talk a lot about, like paying attention to the blood, right? Making sure that you are not just asking for tests or any doctors aren't just, or your healthcare practitioner isn't just giving you tests willy nilly, but you know exactly what you're looking for. You know exactly what you tests that you need to have in order to assess your health, your nutrition, and to actually follow the breadcrumbs to some of the generational curses that can actually afflict or have been afflicting our families and even us and for a long time, right? So for me, the blood trail is really important, and I thought sharing some of those ideas and so on with you would help you to start digging and find yourself looking at your blood panel test more closely and asking more questions of your practitioner. Greetings, Naya. Peace. I am feeling well. I'm feeling strong as ever. It is gloomy outside. I was like, I really want to come outside. I want to be out here with, you know, all of the birds, the bees. The breeze is so nice, but it doesn't feel like a summer day. I'm gonna say that to you. It doesn't feel like a summer day. If you can hear me, let me know, and if you can see me clearly, let me know as well. If the sound fades or if the image blurs at all, just keep me in check with that so that way I can adjust myself or some of my technology so that you can have an awesome experience. All right. But thank you for joining us, Naya. So, yeah, nutrition testing is one of the first ways that we can actually evaluate the levels of macronutrients and micronutrients that we have in our blood. And the thing about utilizing those options, I mean, they come in different, there are other panels that we're going to look at as well too and talk about. And, you know, your practitioner will literally tell you what the numbers mean, but it's good to know. It's good to know ahead of time so that when you get in there and they start talking, you know what questions to ask, and it's important to actually have those questions prepared long before, right? Naya says, yes, ma'am, I can see you. You look beautiful and you're loud, clear, and sound strong. Awesome. Well, thank you. I wish I could see you too, but I can't. But the beautiful thing about this platform is that I can actually share links, and you all can, from time to time, engage those links and come on into the space, right? Thank you, Naya. Thank you very much. And I kind of have to remember there's a 20-second delay, but nonetheless, back to the panels when it comes to blood testing, the nutrition testing is something that you can do and you can ask for. But there are two, like you can ask for what's called a complete blood count, which will just really tell you about the count of red and white cells and the platelets and even your hemoglobin, right? So you can ask for that, or your practitioner may say this is what we need to do in order to assess how to move on from here, right? But again, you have the option of asking for those as well, right? And when you're able to look at and assess your red count and your hemoglobin, you can tell, especially if you have youth, that can help you as a mother drive your food planning, your meal planning, um, your nutrition, uh, family powwows, I don't know, whatever it is that you do to make decisions around what you consume, right? Because a lot of the time it really comes down to what are you putting in your body, right? Um, Abnormal levels of those like your blood levels and so on can indicate a few things. Iron deficiency. So as I said, make sure that you know what those counts are and you're able to use it to be proactive, right? Use it to be proactive. If it's on the low side, don't wait for someone to declare anemia, right? Don't wait for those things, right? That's I think those things are important to consider. Um, and so I think the other thing I wanted to touch on too is deficiencies, but I'll talk about deficiencies a little bit after. The other test or panel that you want to consider is what's called basic metabolic panel. So the metabolic panel really just kind of looks at all of the different things like your electrolytes, your calcium, glucose, and other things, potassium, carbon dioxide, that's all of these things that are in the blood. All right. It's slightly different from the nutritional test where you're looking at both the micro nutrients and the macronutrients. Here, you're really looking at low or high levels because those can be indicative of things like liver malfunction, hormone imbalance, and kidney imbalance as well. All right, I'm holding down my stand because the wind is blowing and I don't want the stand to fall over. I don't, I don't want the stand to fall over. All right, because I want to have to buy a stand. But yeah, so the basic metabolic panel is another panel that you can ask for, or you may hear your practitioner mention, and you know they mention that it's one or two things. They're looking at, again, things like the carbon dioxide, the electrolytes, calcium levels that are in your blood. Of course, if you want an extensive list, it's best to request a nutrition panel. Request a panel that actually gives you all of, and if you have children, I'm going to say like that's one of the best things that you could do because you can get, again, be proactive, right? There's also a lipid test and a thyroid assessment that you can do, and those are panels that they may say to you they would like to run, right? It's up to you again to take the information and the results and utilize it. The C reactive panel is another blood assessment that can be done. There are many. All right, I'm not going through all of them today. I'm just mentioning those that are very significant because they help you to, you know, it's a tool. It helps to arm you so that you're able to be proactive when it comes to, again, shifting those generational curses, right? Some of those diseases that are passed down to us along with the recipes, right? Right. Most times it is the clue and the key is in those recipes, right? The lifestyle, the food and dietary lifestyles that are passed on. Um, so pay attention to those. The C reactive protein test actually helps to identify things like heart disease. And so that kind of leads me to, just talk about the blood from the perspective of hypertension, right? Because that's something that it plagues even our melanated men, right? In our melanated communities, that is like the second, the primary uh, killer of our melanated men. It is heart disease. And heart disease, no pun intended, is at the end of the line. It's at the end of this progression toward, well, I know it doesn't, I can't even say progression, but it's at the end of the line because at the beginning, if you pay attention to hypertension and you pay attention to blood levels, right? Blood pressure levels, and you adjust exercise, but most importantly, adjust the dietary lifestyle, you are not going to have a problem, right? You're not, and I'm saying you're not going to have a problem because you give yourself enough time to shift that lifestyle so that you can save yourself. Nobody come in to drag the horse to water to make it and force it to drink. The horse have to figure out how to get to the water with all the signs and symbols and all of the indicators along its journey so that it can make a decision that is wise and can, you know, eventually help to support and maintain the family because there are others who are depending on men. So really important to pay attention to the C-reactive protein test because it helps to indicate whether there's inflammation in arteries and infection and others, but it is also an indicator of heart risk, like lower levels of the proteins and certain presence, higher levels, sorry, of certain proteins is actually indicative of hypertension or risk of heart disease. So very important. The other thing I wanted to talk about with hypertension is that, you know, when you think about these things, most times when you go for a panel assessment, a test, blood test, or an assessment of the blood test, and they sit down with you, the first thing that is you hear about a drug, right? And I'm not I'm not dictating what one should or should not do. I will never do that. But I am saying if the first thing they present to you is a drug, the most important thing to ask next would be what are the other alternatives that can significantly improve my condition without me taking a drug, right? Because actually changing your dietary lifestyle is 3 times more effective than taking a drug. Now, I don't know, it depends on the stage that a person is in. So, those are things that you have to consider yourself during your exchange with your practitioner. Very important. And for those who are still questioning or unsure of what it is that they should do or when it comes to the results of the blood panels, whatever various blood panels you've decided to request or were done for you and you're being presented with the results, you have to consider transitioning to a plant-based diet as one of the things that will help to reverse some of the situations, right? Um, Reducing salt intake, we spoke about that before. And for people who are, this is a little plug for those who are um, really battling with, I don't want to say suffering, but battling and challenged with hypertension now or even heart disease. There are some things that can support and aid that journey. Things like that can help relieve the pressure in the blood vessels because they have things like nitrates in them or foods, especially roots like turmeric and beets, right? One of the best ways to aid with even hypertension for those who are juicing right now is to actually create a, a decoction with yellow dock, but include things like licorice and include red beets. And you want to make sure you add some black pepper to that because the black pepper actually helps to aid the body in assimilating the active ingredients much better. So make sure you include a little dash of black pepper. But again, for those who are struggling with that idea of not the idea, but the battle of hypertension and the risk of heart disease, those are some things that can support you. And it may seem very simplistic the way I'm presenting it. So, I don't want to I don't want to offend you in a sense to make it seem like, oh, you're just trivializing it. That's not the case. But what I am saying it is much easier that sometimes it is made out to be, right? It's much easier. So a couple other things pertaining to blood. Those blood panels will also aid you. I think I shared before one of the reasons I knew um, that my mom had issues with anemia and anemia showed up for me was by getting a blood panel done. And so there are blood deficiencies that can be um, reversed. They can be those situations can be improved significantly again by changing lifestyle. And you know, it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm vegan, boom, that's it. Or okay, I'm plant based. Because there are many who shift to plant based, but they're still consuming certain levels of meats and other foods. And sometimes the real reversal for things like hypertension and risk for heart disease and so on, the actual benefit comes from shifting to strict vegetarian or strict vegan rather diet. So consider that, right? Consider that if you have anemia, making sure that you're eating copious amounts of greens or even juicing. It's starting to rain, y'all, so I'm gonna jump out this rain so my equipment doesn't get wet. But yeah, really quickly, anemia um, can be reversed again, gorging yourself on greens. Chlorophyll actually contains hemin, and that's something that you can access having chlorophyll every day. A chlorophyll shot will actually help to reverse that. And your lethargy, your brain fog, those things go away. It helps to purify the blood. It helps to improve um, your blood circulation as well. So, hey, just I'm trying to move real quick because I could actually see the rain coming. You know, when you sit and you look from afar, you can actually see how the rain approaches you. That's exactly what's going on, exactly what's happening. But yes, um, back to the like the original point. So very important to pay attention to again the um the levels of plant-based sources that you are accessing and how much of it that you're consuming, making sure that you reduce your intakes of salt and so on. I'm so sorry. There are all sorts of things happening just at one moment. And the breeze has picked up. So I'm going to close today, but before I close, I wanted to also, leave you all with some words of encouragement. Those of you who are fasting, all right. Um, my watermelon fast has been great. I actually paused and made some soup yesterday. Hey, don't fault me, right? I made raw soup yesterday, which included some. I didn't have burdock root, unfortunately, but I utilized basil and cilantro, a little bit of parsley, seasonings. I had garlic and onion in there, and I used carrots as well too. And those are I didn't have sea moss gel, but you can always add sea moss gel to that type of soup. I placed it in the blender, blended it on high. I had a warm liquid soup, and that works wonders. All right. So if you're liquid fasting, if you're dry fasting, but your fasting period and you really focused on ingesting the word and just pulling in knowledge from scripture, the Anno Way, and any of the other, wisdom packed books or, podcasts or so, really pay attention to that time and focus on self and focus on growing during that time. And I mean, 3 days is it's only 3 days, but it's a good gateway into what the whole of summer could be for you, you know? The entire summertime. Naya says, I missed your live on Sunday, but felt I was in sync. I blended some watermelon mint All right, good. You probably watched it. I don't know. Or maybe you saw the picture. I don't know. But I appreciate you all for being in the space. Thank you, Sister Naya, for dropping in. Sister Maxine, the DJ. Listen, this dawning, this dawning was a lot of laughs for me because I saw a clip go to Maxine's page, Instagram page. She's Sham the Joy. I'm telling her business, Maxine. Or you can go to her YouTube page, subscribe, and listen to those great musical mixes that she created. But I had a good laugh this dawning because she was showing a little clip of her nephew, and he looked like he took over the turntables. He took her name and everything. He took over everything. It was fun. And I like to see youth. I like to see youth engaged and learning how to do all sorts of things. They like to be creative. And so, yeah, seeing him having a ball and laughing and engaging with you was very inspirational. So thank you all for joining in with me today. I have 3 minutes before one because I have several things to do before 2 o'clock hit. So in between this hour, we're gonna be making magic. Peace, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Wellness is yours. Hold on to it.